Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that is absolutely critical for anyone who manages people: human resource management. And trust me, it's way more than just paperwork and policies. It's the real engine that drives results through your team. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with the basics, what HR actually is. Then, we'll get into why you, as a manager, are right at the center of it all. We'll look at the huge trends shaking up the way we work, what the new HR playbook looks like because of it, and finally, what all this means for you and your future. So, to really wrap our heads around HR, we've got to start with a much bigger, more fundamental question. What's the most important part of being a manager? Is it writing the perfect strategic plan? Or maybe managing the budget down to the very last cent? I mean, yeah, those things are important for sure, but the most critical job, the number one thing for any manager, is accomplishing the organization's goals by managing the efforts of its people. It always comes down to people. You know, when you look at how management is traditionally broken down, you get these 5 basic functions. You've got your planning, organizing, leading, controlling, but look what's sitting right there in the middle, kind of like the keystone holding it all together: staffing. That's the heart of it, because let's be real, without the right people, none of that other stuff even matters. And that core staffing function, well, that's what we're talking about when we say human resource management, or HRM. It's the whole shebang, really. It's everything that touches an employee's journey, from the moment you think about hiring someone to their training, their performance reviews, how they get paid, and making sure they have a fair and safe place to work. All right, that leads us perfectly into our next section. You might be thinking of HR as that separate department down the hall, but honestly, it's a critical skill set that every single manager out there has to master. And here's why. Getting the people part of your job wrong leads to some incredibly expensive mistakes. I'm talking about hiring the wrong person, watching your best people walk out the door, or even ending up in a lawsuit. These aren't just minor headaches. They can absolutely wreck your team's morale, productivity, and the company's bottom line. But here's the flip side of that coin, and it's a really powerful idea. When you get human resource management right, it's not a cost, it's an investment that pours profit directly back into the business and boosts performance everywhere. So what does that actually look like in the real world? Just look at this number. Over $3 million. That was the return on investment at one single packaging plant after they invested in one HR skill, training their supervisors to be better at performance management. That's not some abstract theory. That's a direct line from good people management to cold, hard cash. Now, it's super important to remember that HR is not static, not at all. In fact, it's been completely turned on its head by these massive shifts in how we work, where we work, and even why we work. Let's break down the big 3 forces. First, the actual face of the workforce is changing dramatically. Just look at these numbers. The percentage of workers over 55 is expected to more than double. And at the same time, the workforce is becoming way more diverse. As a manager, you can't just see this as a statistic. It means you need totally new strategies to manage teams that span generations and can bring all those different perspectives together. Second, the very definition of who an employee is changing. We're in the middle of the gig economy boom. Platforms like Uber and Upwork have created this huge pool of freelancers. And let me tell you, managing a team of independent contractors takes a completely different playbook for motivation and communication than managing a team of full-time staff. And third, the kind of work we do has done a complete 180. Our economy has shifted from making things to providing services. I mean, by 2024, it's estimated that over 80% of all jobs will be in service industries. This puts a huge premium on what we call human capital, which is really just a fancy way of saying the skills, the knowledge, and the expertise of your people. So, with all of these massive changes happening, what does modern, effective HR actually look like on the ground? Well, it's definitely not just about compliance and administration anymore. It's built on a few core, really strategic pillars. Yeah, this is all about a fundamental shift in thinking. It's about moving HR from being a reactive administrative function to being a proactive strategic partner that's actually helping to drive the business forward. And it's built on 3 key pillars. First, and this one is the most important, modern HR is strategic. It's not just about filling an open job. It's about having a deep understanding of the company's biggest goals and then building a people strategy designed specifically to achieve them.
Think about it like this. A company like LL Bean has built its entire brand on getting expert, friendly service from people who genuinely love the outdoors. That's their strategic goal. So what kind of employees do they need? People who are passionate, knowledgeable, and so their HR policies, they're built from the ground up to find, hire, and keep exactly that kind of person. It's a perfect, seamless loop.
Next up, modern HR is data-driven. The era of making big people decisions based on a gut feeling is over. Today, it is all about talent analytics, using data, facts, and actual results to decide who to hire, how to train, and how to make your team better.
The third pillar is a relentless, laser-like focus on engagement. And look, this isn't some soft, feel-good idea. Engagement is about your employees being psychologically invested and connected to their work. And why does that matter so much? Because engaged employees are the ones who drive performance and come up with the next great idea. And this is absolutely mission critical, because just look at the current state of the US workforce. Only about 30% of employees are truly engaged. Half of them are just going through the motions, and a wild 20% are actively disengaged, meaning they might actually be undermining the work of everyone else. The opportunity here for managers to step up and change this is just massive.
So this all brings us to the most important point of this entire explainer, the absolutely central role that you, as a manager, play in this new world of work. So here it is. This is the single biggest takeaway. In today's workplace, every manager is an HR manager, period. With technology handling so many of the old tasks, the real people work, the recruiting, the developing, the engagement, that responsibility now falls squarely on your shoulders. To succeed, to really thrive in this new environment, you need to build these core competencies. Understanding the business, leading with integrity, communicating clearly, managing relationships. These are no longer optional, nice-to-have skills. They are the essential tools of the modern manager.
So I'll leave you with this final question to really think about. The future of management doesn't belong to the person who's best at managing tasks or organizing a project plan. It belongs to the leaders who understand that their primary, most important job isn't just to oversee work, but to actively cultivate the talent that gets the work done.